I need to tell you an uncomfortable truth today. Can you believe that 80% of the data projects nowadays fail before they reach production? You heard that right, 80%. And why is that? It's almost never the technology. Nowadays the technology just works, but it's the return on investment. It's the part where we show the value that our projects can deliver to the company. And in this video today, I'm going to show you the exact framework that we use to actually show the CFOs the return on investment from this project when we scope POCs and MVPs with Databricks. We use these three questions with all of our clients to make sure that the projects start on the right foot and that they deliver what we are planning to. Stay with me to learn more. I have been part of many projects in my career, but there is one that really stands out when we talk about showing the return on investment. It was for a big company. I was part of the data team back then, and we were working on an MVP that lasted about 8 months. It actually covered a very wide scope of activities, and we managed to do it really well. Believe me, everything was optimized so that it doesn't cost a lot. The Spark jobs were running very smooth. The IoT data was coming with almost no latency at all. All the delta tables were set up properly, and we were pushing super high quality results to our gold layer. Lakehouse done right. After we were happy with the results, we went into a meeting with the executive board to show our results. The team leader, Daniel, goes out confidently, shows a nice presentation with everything, and we end up with this spreadsheet where we have all the results summarized in a very understandable way. How much data we are pushing, how fast we are pushing it, how much we are saving in terms of time compared to the old system, everything looking very well. And suddenly the CFO asks just one question. How much money are we saving with this? You could feel the mood change. The team leader panicked and he couldn't answer that simple question. Although he tried to come up with an answer, everyone could see that we didn't think about this part. And you know what happened next? Although the CTO was very happy with the results, he could see the potential. He didn't have the tools to fight with the CFO and CEO to continue funding the project. The team was dismantled and the project never continued. And that's what's happening if you fail to prove the value of your project. And that's why you have to be careful when you scope POCs and MVPs and make sure they show enough value so that the next big phases are funded and go through. So, before we continue to the next phase and go to the 3-question framework, let's first clear up a bit of a confusion that's forming out there. What's actually the difference between proof of concept and a minimum viable product? They're actually very different, although a lot of people would confuse them. The POC, or proof of concept, will answer the question, can we build this? Is it technically feasible? Can Spark handle our workloads? Can Delta Live tables actually serve our purpose of orchestrating the transformations? Can Delta tables read or write fast enough? Things like that. While MVP, or minimum viable product, answers a very, very different question. It answers the question, should we do this? Is there enough value in this project? Is it gonna save us money? Is it gonna make our reports faster? Is it going to improve the data quality? These are the questions we answer with an MVP. And the gap between the two, that's where projects die. People scoping for POC while running it for months like an MVP, that's a problem. People running MVPs without good practices and doing it like a science fair project, that's a no-go. That's another place that projects die. And to be honest, nowadays you very rarely need a POC. The technology is there. Databricks is already established. It has shown to be effective for enterprise companies, for startups, for wildly different verticals. So unless your project is something very specific and different, you don't need a POC. you can trust the technology. What's more, maybe the stakeholders have already decided that they will use Databricks. They have read all the Gartner reports, they have been to an event, they have decided. So you don't need a POC. In most cases, you need to show value. You need to show return on investment. You need to show how you're going to improve things with your project. And that's what the minimum viable project is for. Most projects have at least two types of stakeholders. One of them are the people with the budget. It's the CFO, the director, the person who needs to approve for this project to go ahead. And in order to please these people, you need to show them value. You need to show them that your reports are going to be much faster. Hence, the compliance team is going to have their reports earlier and it's less likely to be fined. You need to show them that you're removing a vendor lock-in and now your costs are much more flexible and dependent on the consumption. The second type are the people who are in charge of the infrastructure. Your DBAs, your DevOps, the people who manage this solution. And you also want to make them happy. You want to show that the new solution is going to be much more stable. They will have less cases to work on, less chance that the system is overloaded and everything starts crashing. And actually, if you scope for at least these two, you have a much higher chance to have your project go ahead and run successfully. That's one of the keys to go to production with the next phase. Now that we know what our target audience is, let's go to the main piece of this video, the 3-question framework that will help you scope every POC or MVP right. And I'm not going to surprise you. The first question is, what value are we proving? And here we have to get out of our engineering and technical mindset and be ruthlessly honest and answer the question, how much dollars are we saving for our company? Or how much dollars are we bringing in for our company? And there are many ways you can achieve that. Maybe you're saving from costs of the old system versus the new system. Maybe your reports are much faster and you avoid fines. Or maybe you're actually putting the foundation of a very important AI setup for your company. That's actually making you more competitive and bringing more dollars in the future. But in this part, we are not talking about technicalities. We are first answering the question, is this going to be beneficial for the company? And if it's not, you can stop here. But if it is, if you can show some value, then we go to the next question. Question number 2 is, what technical risks are we validating? And the biggest mistake here is to go all out and include many things in the answer of this question. The right approach is to pick 1 or 2 pieces that you consider the most risky and most important for your company and make sure that the use case you picked covers them and shows that they can be achieved. Maybe it's the compliance part and you need to show that Unity Catalog is much better than what you have now. Maybe it's the processing time and you have to show that Spark can handle everything faster and easier. It's going to be different from project to project, but you have to pick the most risky technical aspect and make sure that your POC or MVP is covering it. And we go to the last question, which is, what specifically does success look like for you? And here again, you have to be very, very ruthless. Answers like, we are going to have all the data migrated from the old system, that doesn't cut it. You have to be very specific. For example, we have 100% of the data from the last 90 days, and our reports are up to 0.01% accurate compared to the old ones. Or 100% of the streaming data is being captured and it's available in the gold layer up to 5 minutes after receiving it. If you're not specific here, you're not gonna get funded. General questions and answers don't cut it for people who want to see value. And you will be accountable for the things you put as answer to these questions. But that's also good. That's gonna keep you focused throughout the development and will make sure that your project gets funded, because these were the things that were signed off by the executive. If you deliver them, they have no reason to cut you off. Be very specific in this section to put the right criteria and then to deliver. And with this, I give you guarantees that it will be much easier to get your next phase funded. Okay, but why is return on investment or ROI so important, you would ask? Isn't it important that the project is technically brilliant? Of course it is. But we, as engineers, as technical people, often think that our project is competing with the old system, that the Databricks Lakehouse is competing with our SQL data warehouse. But that's not the case, or at least that's not the case in the executive's head. For them, our project is competing against every other project in the company. Maybe the CMO or the marketing team have come with a project that brings a new marketing system for content generation or things like that. Maybe the R&D team is coming with a new platform for development. All of these projects in their heads are direct competitors to yours. So you need to show them that your project is actually going to be valuable for the company. If the marketing team says, with this new project, we're gonna generate 100 more leads this quarter that will bring $50,000 more in revenue, and your project says, we will migrate the data from the old system to the new system in a month, what do you think the CFO would choose? That's why we have to get out of our comfort zone as engineers and start thinking about the dollar value of what you're doing. It's very important that we put a price tag and show how our project is actually bringing value to the company. Otherwise, it will not be approved, it will not reach the next phase, and it will never see daylight in production. Think like this. Think in survival mode. If we don't do it, the project is dying. And now, as we are approaching the end of this video, I'm gonna share with you one big tip to make your project successful and a few mistakes that you should avoid at all costs. Let's start with the tip. The tip is to put the governance first. Always start with that. It's more important nowadays than it was before. It has always been important, but today it is the make it or break it part. First of all, there are way more regulations. GDPR, DORA, all these kind of things. Your company has to be prepared. You have to make sure that you have policies that cover them, that data is protected, there are no leakages, and everything is secure. What's more, nowadays, when we say governance, we also include the data descriptions, etc. That also make sure our data can be discovered and we're not building a data swamp. Why is this important? In the AI age, that's actually a competitive advantage. If agents can go through your data quickly, find whatever you're looking for efficiently, they will not only save you time, they will bring you context that otherwise would be impossible to find. And that's another competitive advantage that can make sure that you're winning against your competitors. So don't underestimate the importance, don't leave it for later, start with governance first. If you do that, I guarantee you will be more successful. And now, let's go through a few mistakes that can actually cause harm to your project. First of all, no version control or CI/CD stuff. Don't skip this part. Make sure that you're following all the best practices for your MVP. Actually, what happens most of the times is that this MVP is the foundation of your actual project. And if the foundation is bad, how is the project going to be successful? So make sure that you follow all the known best practices, version control, CI/CD, Databricks asset bundles. Start with this at the beginning. It will save you a lot of time later. Mistake number 2, scoping an MVP, but not giving yourself enough time. MVPs are not quick and dirty technical solutions. They require enough time to cover a reasonably big scope to make sure that you bring value. So we're talking about 6 to 8 weeks, basically 2 months, in which you have the time to actually build it as you're supposed to. Don't rush it, don't make it quick and dirty, do it properly. Another mistake that I have seen people do is not getting sign off at the beginning. As we said, when you're answering question number 3, make sure that you're very specific, that you pick the right measures for success and that you get them signed off. If they were approved by the executive board before you started, they have no reason to stop you from building the full project when you achieve them. Get an actual sign-off. Discuss the points with the executive board, make sure they are aligned and they agree. That will guarantee you the success in future. And with that, our video is ending. I hope that it brought you some interesting thoughts, that it made you consider how to scope your project. If you want to learn more or if you need help with your project, we from Cosmos Thrace are always there to help. You can put a comment down below or find our contacts in the descriptions, and we are gonna happily answer any of your questions. See you!